Just finished their third and final presidential debate. Iran just finished their third and final presidential debate today, June 12, 2021. Iran has had 3 presidential debates. This one was their final one. The first 2 was won by Hemmati. Hemmati won the first 2 debates. Hey, Iran, Hemmati is that's your only hope. You need a Hemmati. You need a goddamn Nelson Mandela, Muhammad Ali, but if all you got is Hemmati, he won the first 2 debates. You know it's going to get to, that goddamn fucking Ayatollah. He went ahead and picked, what's-his-face, Ebrahim Raisi. And so Hemmati won the first 2 debates. Ebrahim Raisi basically is going to be the next president because the Ayatollah has cheated the whole election. 600 went down to 7, and then Ebrahim Raisi, he got polled at 59%. Jalili is number 2 at 8%. So Ebrahim Raisi is clearly the establishment favorite, the front runner. He has ran so fucking far in front of all of them, I don't know if anybody can catch him. I don't know if Jalili is the opposition. He polled at 8%. So Jalili would actually be your strongest opposition. Hemmati is talking about, actually negotiating with the United States. And then that ethnic Turk, the Hohsen something, that ethnic Turk also was talked about as opposition to Ebrahim Raisi. So Ebrahim Raisi is the man to beat. And Nixon once said that if there's a Stop X movement, bet on X. So, yeah, all likelihood, Ebrahim Raisi will probably be the winner of Iran's presidential election, which actually, it would be better for Iran if any of the other candidates were to win, because if Ebrahim Raisi wins, then they could just say the whole thing was a sham, it was all bullshit, the Khomeini fucking cheated, he didn't let any of the women fucking run just so he can get his boy Ebrahim Raisi in there. And so if an opposition candidate wins, and that says that actually the elections were more fair than what people had presumed. So I think this is actually wonderful. This is incredible. Even though they have, a piss-poor democracy, they're having the illusion of democracy. We're seeing debates, we're seeing elections, and you're going to see 20, 30, 40 million. They're bragging. They're not bragging. They're actually warning everybody that there's going to be low turnout rates. But 20, 30, 40 million, 30%, that's better than Virginia's turnout rate. So this election, I don't know if it'll change anything, but it'll go through, and then people will say, that the winner has democratic legitimacy. Now, the first 2 debates for Iran's presidential election was just an open conversation with absolutely no moderator, no questions were asked. They were just talking. I kind of like those debates where they just talk to each other. And it's kind of weird that Jafar is sitting there threatening, he's going to put everybody on trial for treason or what have you. So they're just talking, and just out of nowhere, Jafar just says, oh, by the way, that's not don't go over to his fucking house, Saturday night for no goddamn lemonade. So the third debate began with just one question: how can you help the people of Iran? How can you help the people of Iran? Now, apparently, for the first time, the nuclear deal was actually talked about, and also the oppressive, murderous U.S. sanctions. It was talked about, too. In the first 2 debates, nuclear deal, oppressive, murderous U.S. sanctions were ignored, too. The U.S. sanctions are starving the people of Iran in the hopes that the people will overthrow their government. And so I can't stand it. I think that this is borderline crime against humanity. Sanctions, so it's just, economic sanctions or whatever. But that's weird. They're going to be against, BDS, but then they're going to, be for sanctioning and boycotting and divesting against Iran. So the Supreme Leader, Ayatollah, this is Ali, and actually he is the Ayatollah. I guess that's the title, right? So the Ayatollah, the first Ayatollah was in there for 10 years, and then this Ayatollah has been in there for 33 fucking years. So the Taco Supreme Leader, the Khomeini Ayatollah, the Khomeini, he had said last month that foreign policy is not one of the main problems of the people. So there you go. The Supreme Leader, the dictator, the totalitarian dictator has spoken. Iran, okay? The foreign policy problems of Iran, that's not a problem of the people. Now shut up. No, end of conversation. That the Khomeini has spoken. The Ayatollah has spoken. There you go, right? The Ayatollah said foreign policy. You know, Iranians don't care about foreign policy. I don't know. So what happens? What was said about the Iran nuke deal? Well, you're going to have Hemmati. Hemmati, it seems to be the, you know, Muhammad Ali, Nelson Mandela that Iran needs. Hemmati seems to be the most likely person that can beat Ebrahim Raisi, if anybody at all can beat him. Now, Abdul Nasser Hemmati, he led the central bank until earlier this month when he was dismissed for running for president. So how about that, huh? He's leading the central bank, right? Pretty wealthy, high spot, you know, money and shit, power. Harshly criticized the internal political forces who oppose the nuclear deal. So he was, you know, powerful man running for president, and now he's not going to run the central bank, and if he loses, he doesn't get the presidency. He gets nothing, right? So he asked Hemmati asked Ebrahim Raisi, what will happen if power falls in the hands of the hardliners? Well, you motherfucking right-wing conservative sons of bitches. What will happen if the right-wing conservatives take Iran's presidency? This is what Hemmati, the hardliners. That's what Hemmati asked Ebrahim Raisi. And Ebrahim Raisi leads the judiciary. He's the front runner. He's the favorite of the Khomeini. Hemmati stared straight into the eyes of the devil, into the eyes of totalitarian power. And he told Ebrahim Raisi, all this time you played in Trump's court with your hardline actions. All this time you played in Trump's court. You act like you're tough, but you're playing in Trump's court. Ebrahim Raisi said he was committed to the nuclear deal, just like any other state agreement. However, Ebrahim Raisi said that the effective implementation of the accord requires a strong government, adding that the outgoing administration of President Hassan Rouhani was not as such. Hardline candidate Saeed Jalili, he's an 8% guy. This is a former top nuclear negotiator, Mohsen Razi. Jafar, they said that their potential governments would make the enemy regret sanctioning Iran through boosting local production and nullifying sanctions. The enemy, is that me? Is that who? This Jafar? So Saeed Jalili, he's got, you know, pulled 8%, so he might be the one that could beat Ebrahim. You know, Ebrahim the Raisin. So you have, let's see, nuclear deal's a bad check. Saeed Jalili says the nuclear deal's a bad check. And then Jafar, he says, nuclear deal, fuck America, right? That's Jafar said that Iran has got to, you know, it's got to flip the table, or at least slap the table when faced with the U.S. reneging on the accord and trying to leverage sanctions to make demands of Iran. So what, you're going to sit there and try to demand us, right, nuclear deal? No. Jafar, he's going to get in there. He's just going to slap the table a couple times. Just slap the table, flip the table over. That's how Jafar's going to negotiate. I don't know if it's not very diplomatic, right? That's not very diplomatic. Now, last but not least, and this is notes from an Al Jazeera article that I read. The last thing that they mentioned that I want to mention, Mir Hossein Mousavi, whose defeated bid to prevent the re-election of hardline President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad led to the 2009 Green Movement protest, said he stands with those who can no longer stand humiliating and engineered elections. Ebrahim, not Ham, Ebrahim, not Abraham, not Abraham, but Ebrahim the Raisin. Ebrahim the Raisin. This does look to be like an engineered election. It very much looks like to be an engineered election. 600 candidates dwindled down to 7. Okay, cheater, pumpkin eater. Mousavi, who has been under a house arrest without trial since the widespread protest. He warned that the persistence of the current style supervision by the Guardian Council could render the title of Islamic Republic meaningless for the country. So, are these elections engineered? If Ebrahim Raisi gets elected, we won't know. But if Ebrahim Raisi does not get elected, if Hemmati gets elected, well, there was some, you know, honesty to the damn thing. There was some, if, you know, that Jalili, or if anybody else but Ebrahim Raisi wins, then It wasn't an engineered election. And I'll say, my bad. My bad. Because if it's engineered, it's going to go to Ebrahim Raisi, right? And if it goes to anybody else, so there you go. There you go. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. You got the hardliners saying death to America, right? Jafar's got that face that just says he's got, he's just probably born saying death to America. And then that Jalili, he was talking about how it's a bad check, the nuclear deal's a bad check. We need a brand new nuclear deal. And then it was interesting that Ebrahim Raisi actually had said that he was committed to the nuclear deal. The other one, the one that was signed, I guess, by Obama, right, 2015 or something, and Trump pulled out 2018, some shit like that. So Ebrahim Raisi, when Hemmati said, how come you're against the nuclear deal? Ebrahim Raisi says, I'm for the nuclear deal. They're not for it, but I'm for the original one, the JCPOA. So Ebrahim Raisi is, for the JCPOA, and Hemmati, but that was only after Hemmati had kind of, cornered him a little bit. What will happen if power falls in the hands of the hardliners? All this time, Ebrahim Raisi played in Trump's court with his hardline actions. So all that tough talk, all that right-wing tough talk, what'd you change? What did you change? Huh? So there you go, Hemmati. Iran, you got to vote for Hemmati, because if you don't vote for Hemmati, then, yeah, I think your regime's kind of, anyways, do your best, everybody. You're a motherfucking Homo sapien, okay? You're a god amongst, insignificant dust, right? You got consciousness, logic, reason, science. You can understand shit. Be strong, be confident. Stand tall. Don't let anybody knock those shoulders down. And until you go over that great divide, live, love, and laugh. See you later.